Greetings, students, and welcome to module number 11. And we're going to talk a little bit about communication when it comes to the workplace, when it comes to friends and colleagues, when it comes to relationships. So just kind of connecting with people like in general. So let's talk about some communication skills that are really important for us to have. So what is interpersonal communication? So interpersonal communication is basically when you have two people and you are sharing in some way. So it's an exchange of information between two or more people, interpersonal communication. So you usually have a sender or a speaker and a receiver, and it's kind of this two-way process. That's ideally what we want to happen when we're having healthy communication. So one of the things that most of us struggle with is listening. Right? Most of us like to share or talk, but the listening part is harder. It takes patience and it takes some kind of skill to listen to what someone says without just kind of listening and letting it go out, your other ear or whatever, and not really hearing. So one of the best ways that we become a good communicator is to listen. And another thing to consider is nonverbal communication. Oh my goodness. Nonverbal communication is huge. I can really observe people. Actually, I love that. I love going to the mall or going somewhere and sitting down and watching people interact, right? I'm watching their nonverbal communication, or I'm seeing their interactions with each other. I think it's kind of fascinating. But we communicate so much to each other nonverbally. We do. When we are in this interpersonal conversation going, we want to make sure that we have eye contact. Have you ever been there? Have you ever been talking with someone and you're talking with them and you think you're having a conversation and then you see their eyes like looking beyond you, past you, and kind of staring at someone else or something? Is that kind of offensive or annoying, right? Yeah. So therefore, that's why it's important that we have eye contact. We made this open posture. So, right? If you're trying to have a conversation with me, especially if we're in a relationship and you're trying to have a conversation and you're sitting there apologizing and I'm like, uh-huh, yeah, okay, fine, I forgive you. Now, what does my body language say to you? I may have said I forgive you, but my body language is saying, no, sirree, you have 3 days of silent treatment coming. It's not over, right? That's what my body language is, because I'm not open. I'm closed. When you cross your arms in front of yourself, it's typically a closed statement saying, I'm not open to what you're saying, I'm not available, whatever it be. And so we want to make sure that we have like an open stance, that we're comfortable, we're carefree, if you will. Lean slightly toward the speaker, right? So, especially when you're interested, I love it when someone, their eyes open higher and they lean in, because it's like, really? Oh, wow, I didn't know that. And so now they're really engaged with what I'm saying. And, maintain focus and give feedback. So more than right? But basically, especially in relationships, partners, when you're having a discussion and you're listening to your partner, you need to say back to them what they said. Okay, babe, so if I understand you correctly, you're telling me that it bothers you that we don't spend quality time together. Is that what you said? And they can say, no, that's not what I said, or yes, that's what I said. But when you kind of put it in your own, what did you hear? They thought they communicated something, but you heard something totally different. The only way to both agree or come to a consensus on what we're saying is to repeat back. And so do that. Yeah. So make sure that you manage to do that, and make sure that you break down the barriers. Are the barriers to communication the fact that there's a third party standing here and I really don't want to talk about this personal stuff in front of them, right? Is it that we're in this loud restaurant and I can't hear, I'm yelling at you because I can't hear over all the noise around us? Those are barriers to communication. Use feedback to manage communication barriers. So again, like I said, if you're in some place that's really loud, or if you zoned out for a minute, have you ever had that happen? We're human. Have you been talking with your friend and your mind went somewhere else for a minute? You didn't mean to be mean. Fess up, own up to it. Just kind of said, I'm really sorry. I blanked out for a minute there. I really apologize. I do care about what you're saying. Can you go ahead and repeat that for me? Right? Instead of trying to play it off. build emotional intelligence. I like emotional intelligence because it really helps us to be better managers, better bosses. It helps us to be better friends and partners. So emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize, understand, and manage your own and other people's emotions. So sometimes I can be in a conversation with someone and this person is losing it. I mean, they are just so livid and angry. And I have enough emotional intelligence to recognize what's going on. I recognize we should not continue this conversation because this person is at a breaking point. They're going to throw something, they're going to do something that we regret. And so that's what I'm saying is emotional intelligence lets you know that something, you can read the body language, you can see between the lines to know what is happening here. Can really help you learn more about yourself and others, definitely. So recognize the emotions, then understand them, and then manage the expectations or emotions. Sometimes you have to step away from conversations or step away from situations because the emotions are playing into play here. What I want you to learn is hopefully that we can have conflict. We talked about that. We can have conflict without having to be so heated and emotional about the conflict. And so kind of separating your feelings sometimes by what is the issue at play here. All right, recognizing emotions in yourself. Use words to depict the intensity of your emotions instead of something physical. So you don't need to throw something for me to know that you're really ticked off. You can say, you can tell that, you know what, I'm really ticked off right now. No problem in saying that, right? You can be upfront. We don't want you to hide your emotions. You can be upfront about your emotions, but you don't need to get to where it's not appropriate, right? Avoid generic words such as happy and sad. So a lot of times people in relationships will say things like, you don't make me happy anymore. Well, what does that really mean? Because in all of our relationships, we're not happy 24/7. That's just not life. It's not realistic. And so be better with your words in saying that you don't make me feel good about myself. You say things to me that hurt me. That is communicating without saying, you make me sad. When I say you make me sad, I want to know how. How do I make you sad? What does that mean? Now you need to be direct and say, you make me sad because I don't feel good about myself because you never say positive things about me. Now that's very clear. Okay? Consider how your body is reacting physically. So definitely, like I said, we can read so much into body language in our communication. That's why texting is so concerning, because when we text people, there's no tone and there's no body language or facial expression. So when you say something through a text, I can't tell, are you really joking? Is this sarcasm? Or are you being really, is this for real? I don't know, because I can't see you, I can't read your body language, I don't know. But when I'm talking with people or with people, I can read those things. I can read to say that, oh, you're really joking, you're smirking, so you're just being funny, right? Or you're not being funny, given how serious you're looking at me. So that's what we're saying is consider how your body is reacting. Do you start to close off? Do you start to back away? Do you start to clench your fist up and down because you're getting so angry? You know, how is your body reacting? Ask the person what they're feeling. This is something I do frequently. So typically when I have people say things to me, I've had students tell me, you know, my partner told me that they don't love me anymore. Okay. How do you feel about that? I want you to examine your emotions about that, because that's what's important here is your emotions about that. How does that statement make you feel? Does it make you feel afraid? How does it make you feel? And so understanding, ask the other person, you know, how do you feel about that? Pay attention to what other people say. Things like, you know, when you're communicating with somebody and they go, okay, and that's all they say, you kind of know that they're there, but they're not really there, right? It's kind of like, I'm here, but I'm not tuned into you. I'm just doing the expected responses of, but I'm not really there. So sometimes I'll stop people and say, okay, so what did I just say? And then, you know, sometimes I'm at a loss and go, wow, I really wasn't, you know, let me think, what did you say? You know, again, yeah, the thing is not really nice. Understand emotions. So reflect to better understand what is causing you to feel these intense emotions. So if your partner says to you, I can see you are really upset about this, we should walk away for a few minutes and come back. And you're like, I'm not upset, but you know, you have to probably walk away and look at yourself and go, why am I so upset? Yes, they're right. I am upset. I can see, I can feel it. I'm hot because I'm angry. So what is making me so angry? You need to really figure out what is it that's bothering you. Think before you can act. Yeah. Think before you act so you can respond constructively. So this is where I tell people, shut your mouth. Just shut your mouth, because people that don't think before they react or before they do or say live to regret it. And it's a lack of maturity. It shows lack of emotional intelligence, right? Walk away, or just even say, you know, my kids were little, they were 10, and they would already say things to each other like, I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to say something I'm going to regret. Because I taught them that. You know what? And when you're going to start to say ugly words, when you're going to start to say something, just go ahead and don't say anything at all. Walk away for 10 minutes. Because when you come back, you really aren't going to want to say the same thing. You're going to phrase it differently or something like that. And so just, you know, being constructive is okay. Being critically constructive is okay. But not being downright ugly with our words or mean. When you understand another person's emotions, you have empathy. So even though maybe I don't understand why that's so important, why this issue makes you so angry, I don't understand that because I don't feel that way. I want to be empathetic that it does feel, you feel that way. And so I want to understand that, and I want to just feel some empathy. Empathy is when we can feel what someone else is feeling, but we haven't gone through that situation. And so I want to understand that. I want to have empathy for why this upsets you. It usually probably had something to do with your past. Or in my past, my mother always said those words to me. And well, now when I hear them, it's a trigger. It makes me feel these things. And I didn't know that, or I wasn't aware of that. And I can now, you know, be careful in the future about that. Manage your emotions. So when you feel angry, remember breathing. Do what I call the box, the 4, 4, 4, 4. Deep breathing is so calming. So when you feel angry, the deep breathing, use empathy to try to put yourself in someone else's shoes. Okay? A lot of times I think to myself with people, I say to myself, you know what? They didn't have parents who taught them healthy ways to cope. This is all they know. Getting violent or getting angry, it's what they know. I have to teach them something else, right? So do that. Ask questions to understand somebody's perspective. Calmly let the other person know you're reacting intensely. Yeah, I need to walk away because this is getting me super upset. That's okay to say that. Take a brisk 5-minute walk, blow off steam, just step away from intense situations. So when you recognize these strong emotions in someone else, let them know you recognize what they may be having a hard time with and reacting intensely. So say to them, I can see that you're getting very angry. I can see that this is making you cry. I can see that. So let's step away or whatever it be. Invite them to share their feelings with you. So why are you crying? What is upsetting you so much? Put yourself in their shoes. Share something similar. So even though if this situation doesn't make you cry, there's other things that are your triggers that you can share that they can feel like, okay, I'm not alone in this. You also have vulnerabilities. And it's very important that we're real with people, that we're vulnerable. This is something I'm passionate about. I really think that when we put on this facade that life is perfect for me and I got it all together, not only are you lying, you know, trying to lie to everybody else, you're just selling yourself short. I am going to gain so much more by being real with my friends, family, students. My life is not perfect for sure. I have been through losses I wish I had never had to go through. Sometimes I think it's very much not fair. It's not fair, but it's life. It is. And the more I think open we are about it, the more other people can feel like, okay, I can share my feelings about loss or about life not being fair, right? So healthy communication, oh, this is a big one. Okay. We need to learn to go from using what I call you statements to I statements. So here's a situation. Something that my partner does ticks me off. It upsets me. So when I go to my partner to confront them about this issue, concern, problem, whatever it be, and if I start off by saying, you know what, you need to stop treating me like that. As soon as I say the word you need, my partner has shut down. Because whenever we come at somebody with you need to, we're human, and as humans, it's like a defense mechanism goes up and a wall goes up and it says, oh no, you ain't talking to me like that. We don't listen. As soon as you said you need, I'm done. I'm not listening to what you're saying. So what we have to do to communicate in a healthy way with each other is to go to using what I think of as I statements. So an I statement says something like this. It says, babe, I want you to know that it really hurts me when you seem to ignore me when I'm talking. That's how it feels to me. So I feel hurt that you are ignoring me. Do you see what I did? Instead of saying, you need to stop ignoring me, I went to I, and I said, it hurts me. I feel disrespected. I feel dishonored. I feel like you don't care about me. Whatever you're going to say, make it an I statement. Make it that I feel this way instead of you need to stop doing this. Your relationship will just be so much healthier communicating when we do that. So it shows ownership, number one, of your thoughts, and it expresses it very clearly and constructively, right? It creates a respectful environment when I use I statements, because I'm not, it's almost like if I were to go to my partner and wag my finger and say, you need to, nobody likes to have a finger wagged in our face, right? It's disrespectful. It's not cool. It's offensive. So when I use I statements, it creates a healthy environment where we can have a conversation about something that bothers me, but we can do it in a healthy way. And you're listening because I didn't say you need. I came at it just sharing my feelings, right? And we can go from there. So make sure that we give them the chance to respond to my I statements and, find a solution to it. So I think you're going to have an activity down the road that has to do with I statements and taking you statements and changing them to I statements, because this, I hope you'll take out of this class, is something that is so crucial for healthy communication. Whether it's your boss you're talking to, whether it's your partner, your sister, whoever it is you're talking to, use I statements instead of you statements. All right, how those healthy relationships, connecting to classmates. This is hard sometimes when you enter a situation where you don't know anybody else, right? But strike up conversations before or after class. For me, I'm always looking for the students in the front row because I want to get a good grade too, right? So you want to help those relationships. People when you think of your social support system, they are the people that want to celebrate your accomplishments. If you have a friend and they don't, then they're not in your support system, right? If you're excited because you are, finishing a college class, or you are earning your degree or something, and your friend is like, whatever, well, what kind of friend is that? The people that support you want to celebrate your successes and accomplishments, and that's how you know that they are part of a healthy support system for you. Connect with your instructors. This is a big one. I hate that students don't do this enough. I have some great relationships with students from my past, and we probably students I've had 5 years ago, and they've gone on to Sacramento State, they finished their 4-year degree, and they're out in the world, and I still have communication with them because they were the students that would always talk to me. They would come up to talk to me in class, they would email me with questions, all these different types of things. And so I always hate that students don't take advantage of your instructors. We're here to help you to learn, obviously, that's our job. But we're here to also make relationships and connections with you, because I want you to be successful as a person in general, as a whole. Ideally, I want to help you in your future college aspirations, but even if you're not going to college, I want you to make some successful choices. I've had students email me with pretty deep life questions. Which way should I go? I can offer some advice. The decision is ultimately yours, but I'm happy to do that. Letters of recommendation are needed, things like that. Gosh, just reach out. If you want to be successful, the more you go for things, the more you will gain things and be successful at them. All right, so if you do go to college and continue on in this walk, I want you to be active, because that shows that you will do better in school too and be healthier and healthier. Join clubs and organizations. So what are you interested in? The entrepreneurial club, because you want to have your own business one day. The health club, because you want to work in the health career profession. Get involved in student government if you want to be a leader, if you're somebody who wants to go into politics, anything like that. And definitely take part in service learning. Service learning would be like internships or things that you can do where you can learn about your career field and your career choice. If you're in an online class, such as we are here, right? Join online communities of interest, right? I think students, again, don't take enough advantage of other forums and other Facebook groups or different types of things that can really have similar interest with what you do. Even if it's your classmates in your group, here. Reflect on what you're posting to avoid potential future embarrassment. So when you do have communication online, just make sure that you proofread it again. Is it college level work? Are you doing complete sentences? Are you giving me college level work? And is it from your thinking and your thoughts, right? Did you put work into it? Think critically, right? And make sure to practice professional safety if you arrange to meet people. You met them online, but you're going to meet them in person. Just be careful about those situations. Excuse me. Being connected with friends and family. So again, many ways that we can stay connected, online here. Actively listen to their concerns and fears, share hopes and dreams, definitely. Let them know that you're here for support. I think that has been something that I've had friends and family say, was just knowing that I always made it clear, if you're going through a hard time with depression, or you're going through a hard time with a breakup, or whatever it is, I brought you some food, or I did something, or I said, can I pick up the kids for you, or can I do something to support you? And that is so important, to let people know that I will not just physically, but emotionally support you. When you have, your friends and family, it's a proud feeling to take them to campus. When I was doing my doctorate degree at University of Pacific, it's a beautiful campus, just beautiful. I couldn't believe I was going there. And one of the most favorite things I would do is, my daughter was only 6 years old or 7 years old at the time, my youngest. And I loved taking her to campus. I mean, she and I, it became our thing. We would have a mother-daughter lunch, and we would just go to the cafeteria, and she would be overwhelmed by the big cafeteria and all the food choices. And she would end up picking cereal, and she would get her cereal or whatever. And we would find a place on the lawn so we could sit outside and eat and look at all the buildings. And I mean, it was just, to this day, she wants to go with me to campus. Even though I graduated there, we still go back, because I was proud of my campus. I was proud to share with her, this is the building Mommy takes classes in. This is the building that, we do these activities in. So, share your college experience with your family and friends, right? Definitely. We talked before about forgiveness and how it's so important that we let minor disagreements go, that we understand it in the big scheme of relationships and developing relationships. You need to kind of let those things go, right? We talked about the I statements and the importance of trying to do that also. Right, so research suggests that participation in campus activities is associated with academic success and higher grade point averages. Your grades are better when you're more involved. So be involved. Diversity. This is so important, especially here in California. We have such a wonderful, beautiful, diverse population of people in our state. And so diversity really refers to the characteristics and attributes or qualities that make us different from one another, and that can be the basis for membership in groups. So whether we have diversity in our ethnicity, in our genders, in our interest, in our talents and our gifting, all of these different things create A wonderful mosaic. And so I think that we need to understand, especially in the workplace, it is so important that you respect and even embrace diversity. I love diversity. I love when students write papers and when students share things with me about their culture, about their background, about different situations they've been in that I have not been in, because I learn from those things. And so recognizing these differences is so, so important, and understanding there's a big difference between gender and sex. When we talk about the word sex means the biological reproductive parts you were born with. So were you born with male reproductive parts, or were you born with female reproductive parts, right? When we talk about gender, gender's different, because gender is like race. Gender is something that we as a society have determined what it looks like. So in other words, gender refers to how masculine or feminine I think you are. But yet, haven't you had friends who are male, yet they have very feminine tendencies? Or females who have very masculine tendencies? There's no reason why a female can't be the construction crew manager. Why can't she work in construction? There's no reason why a male can't be a ballet dancer, right? That is gender. Gender has to do with what you and I perceive as masculinity and femininity. And that's different from sex. It is. So they have different meanings, sex and gender, and they bring diversity to us, right? So these different, whether it's race, ethnicity, gender, and sex, sexual orientation, mental and physical ability, religion, all of these show that diversity. And we want to embrace that diversity with tolerance. Tolerance is really acknowledging and valuing and respecting what makes us different from one another. That's what it is. So we want to have this tolerance. In my classrooms, it's so important that I have what we call a safe space. I really hope I have communicated with you that when you share things with me in your assignments or wherever you share them, that it is a safe space. There will not be judgment in that, and that we should all embrace and have tolerance with each other. Right? Treat people with dignity and respect. Except that not all of us think alike. How boring would it be if we all thought alike? It would be boring. Diversity adds richness and color to life. We want to definitely report or notify people if there's discrimination. Discrimination is treating people less favorably because of their membership in a particular group, whether that's their race, religious membership, whatever it be. And I know me for one, I just won't tolerate that discrimination. And so again, we want to embrace tolerance, not discrimination. Think critically about our differences. So know yourself, know your biases, right? We typically are raised with bias. So if you had parents that were, for instance, if you had parents that were racist, they communicated a lot of that thinking to you. And it is going to be up to you to use your cognitive flexibility to refute that thinking and embrace that non-racism, basically, to be able to get rid of that. And so know your biases, right? Gain information, seek personal contact, be open. That's one thing I love about giving you different case studies, is I'm hoping that you see different perspectives and points of view from them. Connect with others at work. So we impress an interviewer. So if you're going for an interview, we want to make sure that we make a good impression by giving this firm handshake. Yes, definitely. So I'll have students ask me, because I have definitely been in management. I have hired and fired people. And students have asked me, if it's a female that's doing the hiring, should I shake her hand with the same strength or firmness that I would shake a hand of a male? My answer is yes. Why would it be different? I do believe one of the things that kind of throws me off is if I have an interviewee who has a very weak handshake or doesn't really want to firmly grasp my hand, because I want to know that you really want this job. And I think that's one part of it, right? Working effectively with your colleagues, which is so important. Remember, being a team player is something that I would hire people for. If I have an interview with someone and I get the messages from them that they think they're great, but they're not really into working with others, and I'm really not interested, because I need you to work with other people. I do. That is how the world works. And so, you know, offer feedback, definitely avoid gossip at work. You don't want to be the person that stirs up drama, because as employers, we hate drama, hate it, because it interferes with productive work. Now, what I do love at work is we would do potlucks in my department, and I was supervising 12 or 13 people in the office, and then they were supervising hundreds of workers out in the field. And so they would bring cultural dishes and different foods, and we would have a great time having a lunch potluck. So I would do things that would bring us together, but no drama. That's not something that you want at work, so avoid that. All right, so again, we spent this kind of chapter talking about really connecting with people and learning some healthy ways to have good relationships, whether it's at work, wherever it be. We'll see you for our next learning.